I'm Dusty. Welcome back to our identity series. Today we will be looking at our identity as righteous before God. Are you ready for this? This is going to be really, really exciting. Let's jump right in. I'm really excited about this series because I look forward to sharing with you what I learned about how identity, a deep dive into identity, can really help us have a deeper relationship with God. It's really exciting. So shall we jump right in? Let's do this. So what we're going to do is take a closer look at our righteous identity and how it reveals something about God. And we will see how it also reveals something about what is expected of those who have been made righteous. So like I mentioned in the first video, we're going to ask our two questions. What are the theological implications of our identity as righteous? So in other words, what does it say about God? Number one. And number two, we're going to ask what are the practical expectations? In other words, what does it instruct of us to have been given this new identity? This is going to be really exciting. So let's ask our first question. What is righteousness? Now, this is a deep question. The righteousness is tied to the act of justification. Okay, that's important. What that does is this. It shows us how it is a legal term that has in mind the imagery of a courtroom. So as we see over here, this action occurs when a good judge, a judge who desires fair justice, makes a declaration of one's innocence. The declaration of one's innocence is the act of justification. Upon receiving a just declaration of innocence, the individual on trial is reckoned righteous, that is, just or right, in the eyes of the court of law. The declaration of an innocent verdict leaves the accused in right standing with the judge and with the governing body. So what we see there is we see a very legal term. So righteousness should be understood in a very legal way. So when a judge pronounces a verdict, when he pronounces his justification of the individual, whether it be guilty or innocent, that act of justification lends us to be made righteous if an innocent verdict is declared. Okay, so that's how we are to understand righteousness. So now that we've covered that, let's look at the practical implications. So what does this say about God? Firstly, this shows us that God is a good, justice-loving judge. This is both a refreshing and terrifying reality. God is the ultimate judge over all creation. God, is not just fair, but he is merciful, gracious, generous, and loving. He will pronounce his verdict over each and every individual, but he desires mercy. This also shows a fair judge who justifies by a single impartial standard. Now, this is incredibly refreshing. Check this out. The single impartial standard is the standard of Jesus Christ. You see, in Philippians 2, we know that there will be a day when every knee will bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is the righteous standard by which everyone will be judged. You see, God is so fair that He gives us one standard and one standard alone. That is righteousness through the work of Jesus Christ. God judges us according to whether or not we have placed our faith in Jesus. How incredible, how generous, how merciful a picture of God to know that He is both fair and just. He judges according to the standard of Jesus Christ, and we are allowed to receive that innocent verdict insofar as we place our faith in Jesus. Wow, what a picture of God. Talk about some theological implications, eh? Now, the second thing, of course, that we want to look at are the practical expectations. So what does this say about the believer? We can know that being made righteous is not without cause. We are made righteous for a purpose. Check this out. The expectation is to allow the joy of our right standing before God move the heart to works of righteousness. You see, after having been reckoned right before God, our lives should intersect that reality. Philippians 3:16, in one of the Bible's greatest declarations of our righteousness, declares this: only let us live up to what we have already attained. You see, having been made righteous before God, having been placed in right standing with God, we now are allowed to operate from that place of righteousness. We can live up to what we have already attained. We have a right relationship with God. We have been declared innocent, and now we can live up to that. Pretty brilliant. Talk about a heavenly expectation for his people. We also see this: the covenant people of God are called to live righteously, that is, in conformity to the demands of the covenant and according to God's will. Having within the covenantal relation with God the gift of salvation, they are to behave as the people of the Holy Lord. So again, that shows us even further that we are to live up to what we have already attained, not in obligation, but in gratitude and sincere joy. Lastly, it holds the expectation of regular engagement with God. You see, the gift of right standing before the Lord allows us to enter into a relationship with God, one that is devoid of shame, condemnation, and guilt. What an incredible revelation. You see, what we have in understanding our identity as righteous, we have a beautiful picture of God. We see him as being fair. We see him through the lens of gratitude and gratefulness, giving to us innocence that we did not deserve and that we did not earn. We are now innocent before God, and we now have found ourselves in right standing with God and heaven through the standard of Jesus Christ. What an incredible thing. The other thing that we see from this is that we can learn how to have a deeper and deeper relationship with God by learning as we go through life to live up to what we have already attained. So from a place of identity, from a place of gratitude and sincerity, we can live according to that right standing and show the world that we have been made righteous with our God. What an incredible thing, and what an incredible revelation of how to have a closer relationship with God. I pray that this has blessed you greatly. I love you, and I'll see you next time.